All right, there we go. So I'm having all kinds of technical issues, guys, but thank you for hanging in there with me. So physical and software. It's a fun night. It's a fun flipping night. Lots of crazy stuff going on this evening. Where do we begin? We start with our title. Lots of crazy weather going on. Lots of crazy weather. And it's been measured to be the most historic, destructive, tornadic night in the history of the United States. History. Think about that. We'll talk about that here on the other side of the intro. All right, guys, what is going on? Let's take a look at the chat for a minute to see who's actually with us. Yes, I wouldn't say I was the diva, but I would say my computer definitely wants to make me look and think that way, or at least have people think that way anyway. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Whatever, it's cool. We're still alive and kicking, right? We're not out. We're in, baby. Let's take a look. I don't think so's in the house. Tammy is in the house. Loopy Miracle, my awesome wonder wife, in the house. We got a lot of news to talk about, primarily weather-based. So this evening, some of you may have already noticed some headlines, especially in the U.S., we're having a major weather event through the middle portion of the U.S., mainly in the Mississippi, Alabama, southern Tennessee state locations. And currently we have officially recorded possibly the largest tornado ever recorded on the planet. On the planet. Put that into perspective for a minute. If you've ever heard of an EF5, they said that if there was a scale of an EF6, this would be it. It would be the next level, highest destructive tornado on record. So I'm going to kind of switch gears for a second to the map I'm about to show you as to what we're looking at. First things first, I drew a little line in this little town called Armory, Mississippi. And if any of you guys are listening from that location, our prayers are with you, because this is definitely a huge tornadic event. The line I drew pretty much cuts off the top northern side of this town of Armory, Mississippi. So what I'm getting at here is anything north of this line no longer exists on this planet. Think about this. Possibly thousands of people in this location. I'd say right south of Big P here, right along this line, northern line of that, in that area here, is an EF6 tornadic trail that went off and on for almost 100 miles. 100 miles of the most destructive tornado on the planet. Now this is just a almost 10-mile stretch of what that tornado had done. Now this is just reported, right? So we have no idea how much damage has been done by this tornado so far. Not specifically. So I went to kind of look at some reports through, like, say, Twitter, for example. I went there just to see if there's any news outlets there that can give them any more information. But there is so much video, picture, graphic reporting. And at the beginning of this, there's also a little bit of a disclaimer. So I'm going to point this out, that this is a fair use. This definitely could be, I'm going to invoke on a fair use policy here. So YouTube, I got the rights. But I will not play entire videos because that is copyrighted. So, like, here's one of the videos. For example, someone recorded a tornado in the background there. Some of the damage that was done already. Completely leveled towns, guys. Just flat. This particular reporter was stunned. He couldn't talk. He couldn't talk to the fact that half this town is gone. He had to report a tornado. He actually was, through this entire broadcast, he actually watched that tornado go through that town, and he was devastated. I'm completely in shock still. Guys, this is nuts. Like, I can't play through the entire video, like I said, for copyright reasons, but it's just nothing left. Here's an excellent photo. Someone had said that this tornado at one point was 5 miles wide. 5 miles. Now, if you put that in perspective, now, again, all the facts are going to come out throughout the day, I'm sure, on Saturday as to the more specifics, because most tornadoes are measured by their destruction. But the width of this tornado has never been reported, or I should say, there's never been a tornado that's been reported to be as wide. As far as the path, we've seen a 2 mile wide tornado before, which would be considered EF5. This it's hitting some new levels, new historic levels. Now, why am I coming on here live to report destruction and historic destruction? It's for awareness. I used to live in the Tennessee region. I got family in the Tennessee region. We got someone that's close to us, and you guys also know. We haven't heard anything back yet, but Dragonfly Kisses lives in the southern Tennessee area. We hope and pray that she's okay. There's several of us that are in the community that actually live sporadically in certain areas. This particular area... So, let me bring up the weather map real quick. I actually did have that up a moment ago, but... Well, exit out of my Tampa location. So, essentially, this kind of paints a picture of this whole storm system. It already moved through, but... it was significantly stronger than this. This is actually already a strong system. And there's still being tornadoes reported out of this system currently, live. But rewind 3 hours. That storm was all the way from, I would have to say, north and east Texas, that stretched all the way up to the mid-Ohio region. And there was just nothing but tornadoes being reported left and right from this thing. So craziness, guys. I've never seen anything so crazy. We live in a hurricane state of Florida. All right. If you think about that for a second, we've had several hurricanes that came through, and we had a significant one come through recently that caused a ton of destruction. Lots of families uprooted. This this is a new level. They're actually stating that this actually matches a level 5 hurricane type of damage. The other problem is that it's been on the ground for over 100 miles, off and on. I mean, it's lifted, came back down, but they're saying that the damage is going to be so significant that they can't even measure it in numbers, but they can compare it to one of the most catastrophic, costly hurricanes on record so far. And they're actually predicting this to be even farther than that. They're actually also predicting that casualties will be on a very high level. When I say that, there's a couple of reports from certain fire stations that they are seeing thousands upon thousands of homes that were destroyed with people that were actually in them. There were several individuals that made it to their shelters and whatnot, but this is just from some local fire crews and teams. So I'm really praying that I'm really praying, Lord, I am praying that these people got the warning, got to shelter, and it's just God bless these guys, man. Yeah, so some of you just tuned in. The recorded tornado that we have on record so far is what went through Armory, Mississippi. Okay, I'm going to zoom out for a second to give you guys more of an idea of what this looks like. So the tornado itself went off and on for almost 100 miles approximately in this path. So this is saying it's 235 miles. Now keep in mind, when I say 100 miles of damage, 100 miles of actual recorded damage from this tornado, that means it actually landed several times, picked up, landed, picked up, and the worst of that tornado actually landed in Armory, Mississippi. This line actually, I would have to say the tornado actually moved more into a north and east direction from what I've seen, and went into the southern Tennessee region. So that's why I'm kind of wondering to see. If anybody's in this area out there that can hear or see this broadcast, let us know if you're all right. Don't forget that the Stream Elements is actually posting the link tree that contains our Telegram community link. So if you want to kind of let us know that you're okay through our Telegram or on here live in our chat, we would love to hear that you're okay. And if you're not normally part of the channel, come in, subscribe. But I'm not here to push. I'm not trying to sell the channel specifically. I just want to kind of report this and make sure that our loved ones and people are okay in these areas. Anyway. So yeah, going back to the line of this damage that was caused. First of all, if there was an EF6 tornado, they said that would be where it would be classified. It was reported to be well over 200 miles an hour wind damage. 200. That's stronger than the strongest hurricane, right? So I can't even fathom that. So again, just to kind of reiterate, Armory, Mississippi. I lost track of it. There it is. All right, so anything above this line, essentially, they're saying this town and anything above it and around it, it no longer exists. It no longer exists. That was reported by 2 fire stations that did EMS response, or I should say emergency response. They have reported that anything over this line, there's not a single house or standing building, let alone trees. Anything that's standing, they're saying that the earth was basically gutted. This is unheard of. It's like the finger of God said, let me just go ahead and I'm not saying this is God's work. I think a lot of us are going to probably point a little bit towards, okay, why is it that we're having all of this weather, extreme weather, you know? Why are we having it to a level where we're seeing so much casualty, so much destruction, so much problematic weather conditions that, I mean, you're all seeing what's happening in California, right? All the floods and everything that's happening through California. Just this constant atmospheric river of moisture coming through California. And now we're starting to see storms on a catastrophic level never ever seen before. Is just mind-blowing. So obviously they're kind of tallying this up to the global climate conditions that might have been induced by mankind. All the emissions that we put into the atmosphere and cause what you call the global warming effect. In theory, if I believe that that's true. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be in such a situation where ocean level, are now risen above a foot across the globe. We've got crazy weather patterns, stronger hurricanes. Now we've got atmospheric, just rivers of rain coming into California. And we've got tornadoes that we haven't seen since the 80s coming through. I don't know if anybody's remembered the 80s. Like, we've had a point in history where we had the most tornadic activity ever recorded and what I've seen on the reports, we've actually just about doubled that number in one night. As Loopy Miracle said, we're still processing this. Some of these people are that wake up in the morning. Maybe they see this channel or the news or whatever. They're going to be looking at just how significant this is. It is so significant that it's going to basically make us reevaluate safety guidelines on extreme weather. And the question is, how do you prepare for something that's so destructive and stay safe? They're saying that this tornado actually uprooted trees and other structures that actually were more than 2 to 3 feet in the ground. So it was actually uprooting earth. According to a couple other news channels that I saw on Twitter, it literally uprooted earth. So I'm going to point this out. A lot of us that are in this region, and we call it Tornado Alley, that build these shelters that are underground, right? We see them build them probably 6 feet under the ground. But they're usually metal enclosures for the most part, but they're not all that deep. So if you can think of a tornado that can rip up the earth 2 feet deep at least, I'm hoping some of these, I hope not some, I hope all of these people were protected and we don't hear reports of tornadoes uprooting shelters. If that happens, we're going to see a completely new shift, a new paradigm of what we think is safety guidelines for tornadic shelter. So I'm really curious as to your thoughts here in the comments about all of this. So Yeah, Andy from Craft Analytical, horrific weather of the 80s was around the time of the hole in the ozone layer. So yeah, that's a very good, interesting point. So, and of course, they did away with all of the chemicals within the, like, say, all the hairsprays. I mean, that was like, you know, everybody had the hairspray to build up the hair. That's the hair is so big that it would connect to God. You know, it was a crazy decade. But we had to change the paradigm of how we want to protect the planet so we don't go into extreme catastrophic conditions like what happened in the 80s, for example. Craft Analytical makes a good point here. So now we've got a global warming crisis. That is not something we can stop by saying, oh, let's just remove the chemicals immediately and it'll stop. We have to... It's going to be like one of those time heals thing, but that means everybody collectively in every country would have to say, okay, we got to stop throwing out all these chemicals into the atmosphere that's causing this global warming effect. So how do we do that? We have to come back to the, I think it's called the Paris Accords, where everybody would get together and actually come together in agreement to a climate crisis kind of red alert, and come to an agreement that we have to actually reduce some emissions that's affecting our planet. Good morning, Temp. Good to see you, good sir. My brother over there in Israel. So really, if you really put this down onto paper, like the 80s back, I mean, just hit and rewind again here. So the 80s was a very, very, very trying decade, especially when it comes to all the new chemicals that were being produced into products, including things like hairspray, or other types of sprays, or ozone killing conditions that were resulting from these other products or whatever. We actually came to an agreement to eliminate those emissions pretty quick. Now we're in a state where we could do the same thing, but that takes agreement once again from all these other countries, including ours, to be able to put a stop to that. But there's something that's different. Nobody's agreeing on anything. Nobody's coming to the table. Nobody wants to say, okay, we need to make a change to actually protect humankind. Mankind. Let's put this into perspective, guys. If our grandchildren, great-grandchildren are to survive this planet and put them into a good position, number one, we want to make sure they live through it in a healthy environment. What we're doing right now is we're setting them up for failure. Global climate is a huge, huge issue we need to tackle. I don't even want to get started on all the other things like financial crisis, how we're really putting a divide into our cultures, how we're actually putting a divide into the monetary things of rich versus poor. Like, are we actually making livable conditions for our children? You know, we've got a lot of issues going into the future. We have enough to deal with. Now we just got to make sure we get through surviving global climate issues like this, aka a tornado that rips through a town and basically rips it off the face of the planet. Never seen before. Most biggest damage ever recorded from a tornado. And they're classifying, again, as an EF6, even though it doesn't exist yet. I mean, they're saying this thing is was so devastating that it really puts a new perspective of how they categorize destructive tornadoes. It's really nuts. We are not in the Florida region. We're not having any incoming tornadic activity. But what I'm going to do here is just kind of showcase what we're talking about. This storm front has been reported to be one of the biggest spring storms ever recorded. For one, how strong it is, to how long and extensive it is. Rewind 3 hours and maybe 20 minutes ago, this thing stretched from close to the Ohio region all the way down through Texas. And there was nothing but tornadic activity in front of this entire line of storms. There's been, and I'm just touching the surface of this, right? So there has been a report of almost twice as much in the way of tornadic activity compared to that of the 80s based on this one storm system. Think on the level of this, right? So if we're talking almost twice as much damage, twice as much tornadic activity compared to that of the 80s, what is going on that's different? So as we were talking about earlier, the 80s kind of was that era, but that was, a lot of it really was kind of connected to a lot of the chemicals we were putting into the atmosphere that was technically killing the ozone. But it created a quick, almost greenhouse effect within those areas, which really did cause a lot of the, I should say, one of the elements, I'll say, it wasn't the sole reason why we were having extreme weather, but it was definitely contributing. We're dealing with a huge global climate issue with global warming, which just keeps all of that moisture in the atmosphere. There's nothing to evaporate. It's just contained. All it does is all that energy is just going to come back into the atmosphere and then build up and become stronger. There's nothing for it to dissipate as much as it used to be able to. So, really crazy weather tonight, guys. So that's why I came on live primarily. But I was going to come on live and do some Ghost games earlier. But my brother actually sent me the link as to what's going on in Tennessee, because he's in Tennessee. I have a brother in Tennessee that's actually a lieutenant in the police force, which I can't give any details for legal reasons, for one. Two, he's family. Anywho, so there's a couple other YouTube channels that are reporting on this live as well that I went to Twitter. I mean, I'm taking a look at all of this, all the media that's going on. I'm obviously invoking on my right to fair use to share this information with you guys. This is one of the pictures that were taken where apparently this tornado had been measured almost 5 miles. I don't know if this was the exact moment it was 5 miles wide, but they said that this tornado that touched down through Armory, Mississippi, was 5 miles wide. 5. Never ever has a tornado been measured 5 miles wide on a destructive path with over 200 sustained winds, 200 mile an hour sustained winds. It's unheard of. Completely unheard of. Let's see. Just to give you perspective, I'm going to kind of scroll through some of the media here briefly. Wow, there's a shot. Here's a good example, guys. This was one of the trails it left behind. Nothing but uprooted earth. Uprooted earth. Grass is gone. That's how significant this is. Yeah, if you have somebody you know that were in these areas, guys, check up on those family members. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this. I have never seen it. Me and my brother actually used to be fans of chasing tornadoes as we were real young and stupid. But we've never seen an aftermath of tornadic destruction like this. Nope. Never have I seen anything this bad. This uprooted, they said, up to 2 feet of earth underneath the grass, all uprooted. I've never seen this before. I've never seen this before. It's so unreal. So unreal. So, yeah, here's actually a good. We'll give some credit for this one. Raw's Alert posted this. Looks like they are at Raw's Alerts. Nice graphic. This actually paints a nice picture. This whole area is they're dividing the entire town there of Armory in half. Anything above it, gone. Gone. I'll pause there. Again, I can't play the entire video because of copyright, but oh yeah, back to this guy again. So again, I can't play this all the way through, but I kind of feel bad for this guy because I don't even know why I'm wearing these damn shades. Excuse my language. Darn shades. So I watched this guy all the way through. If you guys want to watch it, it's BNO News Live at BNO Desk. But he's watching the worst tornado in history go through an entire north side of a town. And he just couldn't look at the camera. He was so devastated as to the damage that possibly could have done. And obviously here's a lot of the evidence. This is Rolling Fork, Mississippi, which is not too terribly far away from Armory. Right, analytical. So if you can imagine, right, your emergency response teams having to come out and actually, I mean, if you're actually a part of like emergency response and you have the necessary resources to help in these areas, great. But the other problem is there's a lot of damage to down power lines, sharp objects, so much in the way of hazards that this tornado actually caused as far as destruction. So you would want to encourage, definitely, be safe to even emergency response teams. Like you said, I can only imagine what it's like to be a part of those teams. Those guys have a hectic job coming up here within the next week, starting now. The other worst part of this, guys, is it happened overnight in the dark. It happened overnight in the dark, just shy of midnight. And most individuals would be sleeping at about that time. Most individuals. So I'm really just hoping that I'm hoping these people heard the necessary alerts and got to safety. It's hard to really tell how much damage this tornado caused, especially to shelters, because they're saying that this thing is uprooting almost up to possibly 2 feet of earth in the ground is how strong this tornado was. That has never been reported before in history. I'm hoping they did. I mean, our history tells us that we should probably have enough advance warning to at least tell people, hey, there's a tornado coming. Now, the problem here is it was such a big tornado and a destructive tornado at that you almost have to ask the question, how do you get to safety into something that destructive? I mean, your only hope is to go to a shelter that's underground. And pray that the shelter didn't get uprooted, right? That was a few days ago. Someone from James Spann here. This looks like it was a radar from earlier. That's what I was looking for, actually. Hamilton County. Armory was right here on the left. I don't know if you can see my mouse, my little green pointer, but that's the line of storms of nothing but tornadoes that were reported on each one of these slivers in this storm, literally. And I think it was I think this was it, like in here, this part of the storm was actually over Armory, which actually reported that big tornado, or gave that destructive tornado in that area. Rolling Fork, Mississippi, that's another area that got hit hard too. Rolling Fork. Let's see where Rolling Fork is. Aha. Interesting. All right, so wow. If it's that same tornado and it's that small of a town, God help them. I'm praying that these guys are okay. I mean, this is a small town. Wow. Oh, here's some good photos. Reed Timmer PhD. I'm gonna give them some credit. At Reed Timmer Acu. Looks like he's got some good photos of this. Wow. Such a huge tornado. Oh man. So this is an hour ago. They're saying at least 7 were killed in Rolling Fork. That sucks. Wow, that sucks, guys, man. Oh, so this is the video that came from Rolling Fork. So oh my god. Like nothing left, guys. There's nothing left. There's nothing left. CCB's posted this video. I wonder if they're actually from that area. Oh, and here's another good perspective. This was a rig. There was a couple of pictures I saw earlier that there was a rig actually flipped upside down on top of a tree. A rig. A semi. So there's another perspective. And the rest of that semi obviously demolished. There's nothing left. Okay, so this is the reported. It looks like the Tornadic trail. Let's see. We'll give Chris McBee some credit here at McBeeWX. Let's take a look into that. Let's see, is that lake? Let me take a look at this city areas. There's a city named Zaiden. Not to be confused with my name, guys. But wow. Rolling Fork, there it is. So Rolling Fork is southwest of that town of Armory. So this was before, it looks like before Armory. Let me just see here. Winona. Let me take a look at that area. Okay, now I'm going to draw a quick line here to measure this out. And of course, it goes beyond this, but I'm just going to draw a line through it. So this was the anticipated, according to that one graphic, that's how well, they indicated the trail of this tornado took place from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, all the way. Wow, man! I just kind of want to take a look at each of these towns, like Winona. If those reports are true, then Winona's actually been hit hard too. That looks like a fairly decent sized city, guys. Looks like most of it's farm field, so I mean good news to a point, because you don't want to see the most destructive tornado go through a huge city. So I mean that's just casualties craziness. Yeah, that's true. Craft Political. That's there's nothing to stop that tornado. There's just so much groundwork for it to just suck up free air mass, and there was plenty of fuel in these storms. Like I said, I mean, when you have global warming and you have a very active moist air mass and you have nothing for it to evaporate, so for it to be able to weaken, the thing is with how global warming works, think of it as a greenhouse. A greenhouse actually keeps moisture in. It also prevents heat from escaping. So when you have both of those conditions combined, you have two air masses colliding in this area. They call this the dry line. So you have always cold air masses coming from the northwest in this country. So let's just go ahead and paint that picture for a second. That comes from the north or northwest, west locations, and it comes over this mountain, the Rocky Mountains, and it comes down in a way where that cold air mass, because it's heavier, will go down the mountain range and become lower than warm air. But what happens is when you have a warm air mass that's preventing that cold air from coming down into the ground, it's trying to fight through that atmosphere to come to the ground because it's heavier air mass. Now we've got a situation where we got a greenhouse effect that's just creating a stronger layer of warm air mass as the cold air comes over the mountains, just kind of it's like saying you have a blanket just stretched out, tied to, let's say, the top of the mountain, hovering 10,000 feet. We'll call it a magic carpet or whatever you want to call it, magic blanket, whatever. So this magic blanket of warm air mass, as the cold air is trying to get puncture through that, the warm air mass is so thick because there's no escape. It's just absorbing more heat and more moisture, so it becomes heavier and dense. So when you have cold air when the cold air finally punctures through, it creates what you call a vortex type of air mass, which creates the spin in the atmosphere, therefore becomes eventually a tornado. It also creates condensation for your heavy rains. It also creates possibly your hail if the cold air mass is so high, which it collides with that moisture, and it's still so cold up there that it forms these huge ice balls, and it just kind of cycles up there until it punctures through the ground, through that atmosphere. So global warming is a huge condition where it creates these scenarios of more catastrophic weather events. Your atmospheres are becoming more dense, warm, no place for it to evaporate because of really the global warming greenhouse effect. So there you go. Supercells are created because of that. I'm very fascinated about weather, and I grew up that way. Me and my brother did. Just kind of listening and knowing the science behind how it all works. And what the problem is we have a lot of politicians that don't really understand what weather-like conditions, the science behind it, and there's not a whole lot of care behind it. So therefore, we need a little bit better care when it comes to our planet, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just saying it bluntly. There's this theory of, I'm God-fearing, right? I'm a Christian, but I'm sorry, God gave us the will to choose and be able to do things on this planet that affects us and everybody around us consequentially. So every decision we make does affect other situations or other the whole cause and effect, right? So that's all based on a choice, based on the will of what you do. So let's say I don't believe in global climate crisis, global warming. I think I'm just saying hearsay here. Theoretically, let's just say here's a person that says, I don't believe in that stuff. Let's go ahead and keep producing more things into our atmosphere that actually create more of a global warming effect, because they don't believe in it. They say, well, God will heal the planet by itself. Look, God can heal things and this is coming from me and my Christian beliefs, but he gave us the choice, the power of will, which means that we directly have an effect on the planet by our choices. So therefore, we need to make some better choices to make sure we have a planet to live on. I'm sure sooner or later, and I can't lean on my own understanding. Maybe God will push that reset button and say one day, okay, well, humankind didn't do too well this time. So whatever. And there's and I'll even go a little bit further with the whole extreme side of the vision. Beside, you have one side and you have another side of beliefs when it comes to not just political, but also different beliefs, religious, fundamental beliefs, moral beliefs. I mean, you name it. So you have one side that believes heavily into an extreme radicalism of that includes somehow God, but yet you don't act on what the Bible preaches. And then you have the other side, which doesn't actually believe in moral things on an extreme level. Where, I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but the problem here we're having is we're not coming to the table to at least agree to disagree. But yet, this is one thing we need to come to an agreement on: is the planet. We need to be able to do things that actually can help reverse some of the effects that we're causing on global warming, for one. Right? Yeah, so Tim, that's a good point. So there are people that don't believe in global warming. Even when the facts are presented in front of you, look, if this tornadic evening doesn't wake up some individuals in the morning, I really don't know what will. We've had already an atmospheric river of just nothing but moisture pouring in to the South California, Northern California area, South Nevada. I mean, just pouring in left and right, nothing but heavy rain for the past 4 weeks. Flooding on a level we haven't seen, not to mention snow coming in on a level where people were not prepared for. Trapped, can't survive because they can't even keep heat in the house because all the carbon emissions from, let's say, a fireplace, for example, are clogged. So you have to. That means you have to go outside to be able to clear those pathways so you could be able to live, or at least survive, with warmth. But that means going outside and having to go through feet upon feet upon feet of snow, and not just snow, but wet snow. And a lot of that happened in California, where a lot of these structures were actually caved in from the weight of that snow. Too many people got trapped over there. I mean, that was a devastating event in itself. Now we've got an event that pretty much came from one of those systems across the country, and we had the biggest tornadic recorded event in history. Okay? So, and that's thank you. I don't think so. That's a great point, right? If it's not affecting people, they don't care until it does. So it's like, okay, we gave you the warning, right? We gave you the warning. This is what we're possibly going to be looking at if we don't make some changes. And here we are on the night of Friday, March 24th, going into the morning, Saturday, the 25th of 2023. And we now have the biggest recorded tornadic event in history with the most destruction ever recorded. And we don't even know. I mean, this is just scratching the surface of how much destruction we're talking about. So I'm pretty passionate about this because that was one of my first sciences that I really loved and studied into as a kid. So greenhouse effects is actually kind of an interesting study by itself. Just if you're interested in growing a garden, for example, right? How do you keep a weather-like condition in a small area? Let's say you're in Vegas, right, or Phoenix, Arizona, in a desert. What is the number one thing you need for plantation to be able to survive? You need moisture. Probably good soil too, but moisture is a huge thing. It needs to be able to survive off of water. Living organisms in general need water to survive. So then the greenhouse is designed. Humidity, which actually equates to a moisture environment. So basically, you create this house that contains this humidity or moisture inside that actually helps the plants to grow. But that means it's contained, right? It's contained. It doesn't evaporate. So that leads to the same environment of what we're dealing with in this country or in this world. You're seeing rain happening in areas you've never seen before, in deserts. In deserts, guys. Most of Southern California is desert. They have received the most amount of rain they've ever seen on record, basically changing the way we look at precipitation in general. When you have a greenhouse effect like this, it creates a much more dense, and as we said here a moment ago, moisture, humidity type environment in the atmosphere, right? So it does feel a little bit hotter down below, but when that atmosphere opens up and the cold and the warm air masses collide, you're going to create what you call condensation, and then all of a sudden you have all of that humidity in the atmosphere just ready to, okay, I'm finally going to open up and dump everything I got. So what we have is a collision of two air masses that takes place, as you've seen, a spinning low here that actually creates tropical moisture into a very condensed air format where all the humidity is located because of a greenhouse type effect. Guys, I can't stress this enough that we are living in a time where we're not going to see this is just scratching the surface. This is one night of destructive weather events. This is not the end of that. So in order for us to make a change to where we're, obviously we don't want to see EF6 style tornadoes going through and uprooting feet of earth. In order to make that change, we got to think outside the box of division, outside the box of, okay, pride. I have never seen so much pride in my life, guys. I've never seen so much divided pride. We need to get over that and come to a table and agree on actually saying this is an issue. We need to be able to move forward from this and be able to create a much safer environment when it comes to production, to emissions, to you name it. You guys already know this stuff. But we need that. We need to be able to agree that this will not stop unless we make the changes. All right. So, and really this paints the picture. 100+ miles of destruction we have never seen to remind us that this is an issue, right? So, I know typically we go into Gauche games. This evening was a little different because of how significant this weather event is. So I will, I know it's been a couple of weeks, guys, so stick with me. We've been real busy. We've been starting up a new church as well as dealing with the conference this past week. These past 2 weeks, actually, we've been doing a lot of work. So, and that means I had to sacrifice a lot in the way of time, finances, and of course, I don't want to leave you guys hanging either. So, I do want to make sure I give you guys the content. Again, these past couple of weeks were real tough. I know Timp understands because when it comes to being involved into something that's really important, whether it's school, whether it's you have to really put a lot of your time and effort into it. So we've been stretched about 4 different ways, me and Gina, having to do a lot, not just on this channel, but like churches and I know I'm forgetting some things. We've been doing a lot. So thank you for sticking with us, guys. Let me just go and take a look at the comments real quick. Craft political, yeah, politics get in the way of true progress as a human species. I agree 100%. Look what happened to Rome. It folded within. Right? So it wasn't war from another country or what. It happened to because politics in that era collapsed within itself because of greed, power, pride. We're kind of in that moment where history, we say the phrase of history repeats itself because we never learn from our history. So go figure. Let's see. I'd pick the moon, at least. The concept of sustainable living is proven. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I like that movie with Matt Damon where he went to Mars and he was he knew how to grow some plantation using other deposits from humans. That was that was such a funny but good movie. Let's see. I wonder if livable spaces are typical. What if I told you that major powerful countries in the world, U.S. included, are using advanced sense to actually shift, change, and affect the density that actually I've heard of that. I've heard of the technology is available. The problem is we as a country and some other countries on a political governing side of it are not pushing forward because it affects financial interests. Let's just put it that way. I hope I don't get canceled for saying that, but it's so true. So I agree. We need to be able to put some of these things into practice that we have developed in order to protect this earth. That means we have to, again, come to the table and make an agreement on things like those scientific discoveries that helps the ionosphere, for example, and the atmosphere that you mentioned, Tim. So that's actually a good point. Let's see, and I just want to give you guys some respect too. Let's see, Tam, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for your love. That's we appreciate that. Civilizations implode. Yes, craft political. That is true. History, like I said, definitely repeats itself when you don't learn from it. Power, greed, money, it all kind of goes in the same boat, right? So. And that causes division because somebody needs to be I'll go to a movie reference or show, I should say. The Highlander. There can only be one. Basically, we have a society in many areas of the planet that think this way, that they must be the most powerful person and the last one standing because they think they're just that powerful or whatever. But anyways, it comes down to every one of us making a difference too. So it's not just, okay, we're going to wait on our government. We can actually go to I do want to emphasize that a little bit, where we have a lot of us that have a creative mind and a scientific mind where we do have answers to these problems. Absolutely need to go to your local congressman and your local governing offices. Write up a letter or a proposal of things that could help, but be persistent, right? Sometimes it takes a community. I mean, we the people. I'm talking about the U.S. In this situation. We the people, because it's in the preamble. Where we have technically the power to help make change. Now, a lot of that's starting to get taken away because we don't have as much in the way to vote on like we used to, but we'd still have the ability to approach our local governing offices and actually, hey, I need to make a statement. I need, I want to make a difference. I have a petition signed or whatever it is that we can come together and make an agreement and actually push this to make these changes happen. So, yeah, I wouldn't think it would be popular, Craft Analytical, but it is interesting you say that. Yes, we have PayPal as well. If you guys are thinking about donating, sorry. I love how my map wants to reset. Let's go back to Tampa. No, not yet. If you go to my main page on the banner, it does contain the links for the donations there. You can also go to our link tree, which Stream Elements is posted there. That I do believe the link for PayPal is there, as well as why can't I think straight? Oh, Cash App. Cash App's on there. I think Stream Elements has its link too for donation if you guys wanted to donate. Definitely appreciate anything you guys do to help us keep this channel alive, keep our community going and growing. It all helps. And to do reporting like this, right? So this is more like a reporting night, me talking to you guys. And as far as the historical importance of this night, it's probably one of the most important. Because you almost want to compare this tornado, right? This tornadic event. We can almost compare this to a nuclear bomb. Let's think about that for a second. Without the radiation, of course. But that's how significant this night has become. Because the amount of damage this tornado has caused, and I'm this one in particular, but there were multiple tornadoes. This is just one of many. This was just the biggest one out of them all, which which registered as historically the biggest tornado ever recorded. So definitely help us grow, guys. I'm gonna start closing things out. I'm going to close it out with just pictures like this, right? I want to make sure we emphasize how important this night is. How devastating this night was as a reminder of what we need to do going forward. All right. So as we close up shop, let me go ahead and just tell you guys, we will be still streaming. This week we'll have a little bit more availability to do some things. We'll probably do, I hope we do a Gauche Games event, because I want to get you guys back involved and having some fun, right? This was not a fun night. We hoped it would become a fun night, but obviously the events flipped the whole thing upside down. So let me go ahead and take a look here. It looks like you guys are saying there's some things, or some donations that took place. So let me give you guys some honor there. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So yeah, keep tuned in. We are going to have Ghost Games. That will still happen. We do have, okay, let me go ahead and let me put the, I had to go to a different my OBS overlay because my other tool had basically crushed my memory. I had to actually take out 2 memory sticks out of my computer because it basically got fried. So I'm on OBS. I have a different graphic I use now, so it's a sound bit. Here we go.
Excellent!
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 Thank you so much. Again, from somebody and nobody. For your donation and PayPal. I always love that. Thank you for that. That really does help. So let's see. Yep, so far that's what I have in donations thus far. That's been recorded. Let me take a look at Linktree real quick, as I believe Linktree itself has its own donation, if I remember setting that up correctly. Excuse me. Let's take a look, shall we? So as I'm taking a look at the Linktree itself for its donate, I just set that up actually a couple weeks back. So give me just a moment. But yes, this week we're going to be engaged more into this upcoming week anyway, into the community a bit. We are actually starting up a new church as well. And we had a lot to do this past week to help kind of get things started, and a conference to also volunteer with, which, put it into perspective, I'll throw like Gina, for example, was working volunteering almost 10 hours a day. God bless her. I want to see some hearts in the chat for Gina. She is taking some serious time to actually do volunteer work, and she's putting together some videos, some live videos for you guys as well. So give her some love, guys. I'm going to share that channel for you guys as well. So here is Loopy Miracles channel. And she's starting to put up some videos up there. Now, at the moment, she's not like 1,000 subscribers. Where I think it has to be. Is it 1,000? I think it's 1,000. Where she can do mobile uploads and live videos. As soon as she hits 1,000 subs, she can. She doesn't have to worry about having to come back home and then republish it to a public rather than private setting. So. But nonetheless, we're working on that. As soon as she posts those, she goes live, and then or she comes home, and we'll go ahead and switch that to public so you can see the recorded event after the live is finished. So take a look at her channel, guys, and it's at Loopy Miracle. Check her out. She's got some cool videos. Not to mention her latest haircut, you guys. She's got a fantastic haircut video. You guys got to check that out. Super awesome. So I'm taking a look at the Linktree itself, guys. Thank you for your patience. There it is. I gotta go to the admin part of it. This one I'm still figuring out. So I'm always a trial and error kind of guy. I'm like a scientist doing and testing things live with all the errors and all the fun that we have to grow from when we do testing on things. So where most scientists and most people that are technically minded like to do these testings before they go live. Me, I'm just like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. If it breaks, it breaks. So, anyways, give Gina some love, guys. I love how she's putting out her daily dosage is what we're calling it. All of this is really kind of her idea, but we came together and talked about it and said, the daily dosage kind of gives that more of almost like a daily diary, but a medical daily diary. So it's really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. What I'll do is I'm gonna create another video separate to honor anybody that's donated through the actual link tree. But thank you guys for all that you do. Honestly, we again wouldn't be here without you guys. So, I would like to go ahead and close on a note, hoping and praying that, of course, everybody in these weather-affected areas are safe. I would encourage you to go to our link tree and take a look at our Telegram community link. Join us there and let us know that you're okay. We do want to talk to you guys. We want to kind of get your feedback on what's going on. Report to us a little bit about what you're seeing in those areas. And we just want to, we want to love on you straight up. So we love you guys. Looking forward to our next live and next video. Obviously, like I said, I will definitely put out a little respect video for those that donated through the link tree. And we'll go from there. But let's see what Tim said. All right. Well, my final thoughts are blessings to everybody out there. Keep tuned in. This week we're gonna have. Excuse me. Let me transition.
Excellent.
Thank you guys again for tuning in.
Excellent.
And thank you for obviously your involvement in the community of the Gauche. Make sure you stay tuned because this week we're going to have more posts, more videos coming up. We'll probably have a gaming night. Potentially stay tuned with that. And a Gauche gaming and Gauche gaming. Gauche games and gaming. So Gauche games is where we're going to have you guys involved in. We pray and hope that we can find a good time for everybody to be able to do that with us. And of course, we'll also have our Gauche gaming, whether it's Fortnite or if it's whatever game of choice we go with. Rocket League's another one we have done in a while. Some other games, but we look forward to getting you guys involved again this week. So stay tuned. We love you guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you again the next time. All right, peace out, guys. Love you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.